Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny flower farm. It is the very last couple days of August, which means it's time to start thinking about fall decorating and fall planting. So today we're going to be cutting from the hydrangeas to dry them, to use in fall decorations, to use in dried bouquets, even winter decorations. There's a neat little trick to it to dry hydrangeas and have them looking kind of just like this in a vase, even after a year of being dried. And then we're also going to be talking about some bulbs to plant into your garden this fall. They're gorgeous. You'll want to get them into your garden this fall yet so you have gorgeous cut flowers next spring. The best time to be cutting from your hydrangeas is early morning, but we had rain most of the morning. So now it's like early afternoon and we're just now cutting our hydrangeas. So you will want to cut kind of deep into your plant. We're going to strip all of those leaves off of the stem. And you want to make sure that your flower is fully matured before you cut it, or it will shrivel after it's dried. And then I just make a little slit diagonally up the stem, and then we're going to set it into water. That is all there is to it. Whoop. Okay, try that again. We set it in water, and it's going to stay in this water until these blooms are completely dried. Because hydrangeas are a water-loving flower, and this helps them to dry slowly, but it still helps them look plump after they're dried instead of kind of all shriveled up, if that makes sense. Sometimes if we hang hydrangeas upside down, they kind of tend to look shriveled up after they're dried. So I have found that this is the best way to dry them. Set them in a bucket of water and just leave them in here until they're completely dried. For the rest of these blooms, I'm going to cut from the back of the plant where nobody really sees it. That way the front of the plant still looks pleasing, like from the road or as someone walks into the garden. Okay, we got some off of the limelight hydrangea. Now we're going to take some off of the firelight hydrangea. Isn't that color just gorgeous? And then we're going down and getting some off of the pinky winky hydrangea. Some of these firelight hydrangeas are papery already a little bit, so they won't take very long to dry. Like probably in a week or two, all of these will be completely dried. Okay, let's go get some off of the pinky winky hydrangea. Like I had said earlier, I'm trying to just kind of get off of the back of the plants. I'm also being careful because there's bumbles on these hydrangeas. That way, if we take off the back of the plant, it'll still look pretty from the front. Okay, we have one whole bucket full cut from today. And over the next couple weeks, as I see that the flowers are maturing, I'll be cutting them, drying them to use this fall and this winter. So let's take them inside, and then I want to show you the hydrangeas that we dried last year. Last fall, I cut and dried a whole bunch of our hydrangeas for my sister's wedding, but I did save a couple vases full just for myself, and this is one of them. This is what the hydrangeas look like today, and 1 year later. I mean, isn't that great? So this is from the limelight hydrangeas, still looking gorgeous. Now there's a couple back here. This is the reason I had saved them for myself, because I had cut them too early and they shriveled, and you can see those are kind of turning a little brown. But the others that I waited to cut until they were fully mature are still looking green and gorgeous. And I dried them exactly the same way using this method. Now make yourself a cup of coffee or tea, because we're going to look at some gorgeous flowers that you will want to plant this fall. I thought it would be fitting to sit out here in the flower garden while we talk about spring flowers. Brought my butterfly pea flower tea, and I hope you have your drink as well. Brought my catalog, my notes, so I don't forget to mention anything. These are all varieties that are stunning in spring cut flower arrangements. The first one we're going to be talking about is daffodils. I used to think that I don't like daffodils, because I thought, you know, they're just this bright yellow flower that scream it's spring. Spring has arrived. But the last few years, I have fallen in love with daffodils, and I hope after you see these varieties, you will love them just as much as I do if you don't already. The best thing about daffodils is deer, rabbits, and rodents don't really like them. So we're first going to start with my favorite daffodil. All the varieties that I'm sharing are my favorite, but this one truly blew me away this past spring. I've been trying to get my hands on this variety for a couple of years, but they were always sold out already. And so last summer, I ordered early and was able to plant some last fall. This spring, when they finally bloomed, I realized what the fuss was all about on this flower, gay tabor daffodil. The blooms remind me kind of a gardenia or a small peony. It has a huge double blooming flower with ivory petals and a golden orange center. It has a sweet, fragrant, gorgeous both in the garden and in cut flower arrangements. It grows about 16 inches tall in growing zones 3 through 8. And this is a later blooming daffodil. I believe this one bloomed closer to May, first part of May before this one started blooming. Now the next one this is going to be a new one for me this year. It's called British Gamble Daffodil. And I got this one to plant under the new snow crabapple tree that we planted just last week. And it's supposed to have a long bloom time. It's said to be a true pink trumpet daffodil with large, pure white flowers, while the frilly trumpet turns to a pale apricot pink with kind of a darker edge. Grows 18 inches tall in zones 3 through 8, and this one is a flower that blooms in early to mid-spring. And this one is another new one for me. I'm so excited to add it to the garden. I had planned on adding it last fall, but then I had too many other varieties that I got, so I didn't get this one. Can Girl Daffodil. This one is so intriguing to me, so I needed to add it to the daffodil collection. It has these very roughly dark yellow cups with creamy white petals. It has sturdy stems to hold up the huge flowers, it says. Great cut flower, 16 inches tall, blooms early to mid-spring, and it grows in growing zones 3 through 8. The last one that I have on this list is Bridal Crown Daffodil. It's supposed to make a great cut flower, 2-inch wide creamy and white flowers, double blooming with an kind of an orange yellow center, has a strong sweet perfume for the garden, and great in cut flower arrangements. It has 4 to 5 flowers per stem. Kind of reminds me of the Sir Winston Churchill daffodil that I already have in the garden, except the Sir Winston Churchill daffodil only has 2 flowers per stem. And the Bridal Crown Daffodil blooms mid to late spring in growing zones 5 through 8. Next, we're going to talk about tulips, because tulips generally bloom right after or kind of overlap with the daffodils. And the first one we're going to talk about, I had planted 2 falls ago. And so spring 2024 was the first time I had it in the garden. I wanted to order this one again last fall, but I waited too long, so they were sold out. This one is tulip. It's a peony tulip called Katinka. It is gorgeous in cut flower arrangements. It's not a very tall tulip, but my goodness, it's a full flower that kind of resembles a peony. It's a great choice to grow both in flower borders or in containers. It has like these lilac colored double blooms. They seriously take your breath away. This one grows 18 inches tall in growing zones 3 through 8. Next one, this is a new one for me this year. It's a Triumph tulip, and it's called Jacuzzi. I wanted to get my hands on this one for a while. It starts out in kind of a mauve color, transforms into a soft silvery lilac on the outside, while the inside remains slightly darker. It's supposed to be a great cut flower, growing 18 inches tall in growing zones 3 through 8. The next one is Windham Tulip. This is another peony double tulip, and it kind of has the same palette color as the Belle Époque tulip. It's more of a vintage colored tulip. The edges have a beige color, and the outer petals are dusky cocoa hued with a hint of purple, giving it kind of a moody appearance. It's also supposed to smell good, so that's exciting. Grows 20 inches tall. It's said to be very popular to use as a cut flower. But don't you think this would be gorgeous? Like this flower with the Jacuzzi tulip in a flower arrangement. Oh, think that would be very pretty together. The next one is Dreamer Peony Tulip, and I had planted this one last fall in containers, and oh my goodness, this is definitely a dreamy tulip. Kind of resembles a peony again, with 4 to 4.5 inch blooms that emerge in April. I think this is my favorite tulip this past spring. I grew it in containers and it literally took my breath away. After a long winter, these flowers are a delight to the eyes. It starts out kind of as a pink and then fades to a white almost. It's a great one to grow both in containers and to use in cut flower arrangements. It is a shorter tulip, grows 14 to 16 inches tall, but it has a long vase life. The next one we'll be looking at is anemones. This past spring was the first time that I grew anemones, and it immediately became a staple in the spring garden. I start them from bulb the same time that I start ranunculus, which is usually in like midwinter. So this winter I'll be planting a new to me variety, and it's called, I'll pop the name up on the screen in case I'm pronouncing it wrong, Mistral Rarity Anemone. The first blooms on anemones are generally very short, but as the weather warms up, the stems become taller. But Mistral Rarity is said to be a dream variety. Tones of pink and a deep purple center. Gorgeous cut flowers. This one grows 10 to 15 inches tall. And these are hardy in zones 8 through 10. So if you're in a colder growing zone like I'm in growing zone 5B. These do take some extra care to grow. I'll share more once winter arrives, but for now we're just getting our corms ordered or our bulbs ordered. But I'm super excited to add this one to the anemone collection. The last one we're going to be talking about is ranunculus. If you want a rose-like bloom without the thorns, this one is for you. I'm all for the pastel colors, but this year I'm adding 2 new varieties, and one of them is called Black Ranunculus. It's kind of more like a deep burgundy, very romantic color, grows about 12 inches tall, and I guess they make an unforgettable statement in a vase. So the ranunculus and the anemones, since they're both perennials in growing zones 8 through 10, we'll be starting them midwinter, and I'll bring you along for it then. This is another new one to me. Butterfly ranunculus, and this one I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. I'll pop the name up on the screen, but it says it has like sparkling glassy petals with 7 to 10 flowers per stem. Elegant blooms with a wildflower style growth, and they have a long vase life, growing 18 to 24 inches tall. So that is some of the new bulbs that we'll be adding into the cut flower garden this fall, and I hope it inspires you to get your own fall garden planned. Thank you for joining me around the garden today, friends. Have an amazing week. Happy gardening, and I will see you right back here next Saturday. Bye.